And thank you for staying with us for our final segment. And we promise a bang, and we've already exploded with colors on set. Also with personalities on set. So this is going to be an interesting segment. We're going to be talking about the upcoming 2019 Street Arts Festival. And if you haven't been there, this is just maybe the tip of the iceberg. If there's a tip above the tip of the iceberg, this is what it would be. But we have with us on set, we have Karen Vernon. And we also have with us, Karen Vernon is the director of ICA.
The theater director for the Bliss.
Absolutely. And we have Neil Hall, communication officer for NICH.
Man, you make us sound huge. Thank you.
You are huger than huge.
I try to lose weight.
And we have Mr. Baizer, who is a depiction artist.
Yes.
Who is Depiction?
Kelvin of Depiction paintings.
Wow. Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning.
If my energy is up, it's because I see the splash of color. You guys came to make an impression this morning.
Yes.
And if I'm quiet, it's because I am literally, I'm trying to watch you guys, but then I'm distracted by the waterfall behind you. These are beautiful work.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, Street Arts Festival 2019.
This is our 9th edition. And it
9
happens, 9 years. It has been
9 years.
9 years. Marlene has been frightened by the living statue.
Yes, which will not be there this year.
We'll still try to get you.
But they have a competition, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
9 years ago, you decided you wanted to shut down Albert Street and bring artists out. And it was a crazy idea then, but it survived for this long. So
Exactly, and it has grown.
Yeah.
When we first started, it was just the park and the section of Albert East Bank and Brody's.
Yeah.
That was it. And now we're all the way down to Dean Street.
That's
and bursting at the seams.
Yeah, and in some of the side streets as well.
As well, yes.
Yeah. So what do you think is the appeal of this particular festival?
There's so much happening, there's something for everyone. There's art, there's culture, there's entertainment. Youth, for the older people, is something for everybody.
I think it's just community. The fact that you go out, you have a great time with people that you see every now and again, and you get an exposure into just so much more. Because like this right now, you're like, whoa, wow, hey, what, hey.
Yeah, my poor ADD brain can't handle it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you couple beautiful artwork with beautiful craft work, beautiful jewelry work, this year beautiful fashion works, and the beautiful people of Belize, it's just a thoroughly beautiful experience. So it's that community that you get, that beauty that just surrounds everything that happens.
And then there's great food, great music.
I'm so glad you mentioned
And-
the food, because I'm usually the first to do that.
Is there artistic food involved as well too?
Food is art.
Exactly. Isn't all food art?
But I want to go back because I think every single year you add something that just surprises people. There's always a new element that you're just like, wow, there was the fashion show one time. There was live body art there was body art at one time. There was live tattooing, live portraits. What's the big deal this year? There's the sidewalk competition, which has become a staple.
The big deal this year is the Pok-ta-pok game.
Yeah.
At 5 o'clock, you don't want to miss that.
Yeah.
It will be in front of the Supreme Court. So for that 5 to 6 p.m., we'll block that section of the street. And you'll have it the first time in Belize City.
Ever.
Yeah.
I must see.
Not only by the Belizean Pok-ta-pok ball players, but by the world champions.
So
Champions of the world. And yes,
Ek-Balaam.
proudly Belizean Balaam. So we're very proud of that.
So we
this
have
year.
the champions home.
We are the champions.
We are
the
the
champions.
champions.
We
I
are.
like that song.
we-
Belize
yes.
is the champion.
We are.
Belize is the champion Pok-ta-pok.
It's so interesting. Imagine that with the background being this colonial looking
Right.
Exactly.
This traditional ball
Fusion of the
game.
past and present.
And they're coming to conquer colonialism.
I wanted to maybe swing it a little bit seriously in terms of
Yes. Okay.
and we are talking seriously. It's just that we're very energetic and happy about it. That's the way I
most
feel.
definitely.
But there was I was watching the Caribbean news, and it was talking about just focusing on the creative sector as an income earner. And as much as we're celebrating, this is exactly what these pieces of art that you've brought in is doing. As much as we're celebrating the culture, there is a sub message that it's also an income earner. They were talking about the Jamaican reggae industry, which brought in $1 billion to the Jamaican economy.
Yep.
So as we talk about art, which is simply a celebration of, I have all that I need to be an artist, whether it's my voice or not, this the beautiful talent of a couple of these artists that we have in studio. But simply waking up the Belizeans to say, you can celebrate yourself in a beautiful way, whether it's your voice or your talent to do Pok-ta-pok or your chalk festival. How much is that underlying message you hope to register during this event?
So one of the things is, you mentioned that you're an artist during the commercial break.
A humble one, you know.
A humble one.
Well, Miss Michelle Perdomo.
In what right?
Taught me, so.
Painter,
Okay.
you're a painter.
Okay, so you're an artist. Have you had the exposure? Because that's what it, honestly, I have a background in art selling. And I spent 8 years on cruise ships selling art. And they taught me something very important. You could be the best at whatever it is. It doesn't have to be art. Pick something and you could be the best at it. But if you only do it at home for your family and you don't get the exposure, nobody else knows.
Yeah, like singing in the shower.
Yeah, exactly.
Although some people should stay there.
Some should. Maybe that's just not the talent that they should focus on.
Yeah.
There's bound to be another one. But if you get an opportunity to take your artwork, your craft, your jewelry, your sculptures, your singing, your dancing, your poetry, your fashion design, your modeling skill, whatever it is, and you get to put that on Albert Street, in this case, you then get exactly what you need, and that's the exposure. And with that exposure, people see your art and they buy your art. And then you become a name. Yes, they see your art, they love your art, they buy your art, and when they take it home, your exposure begins. Because how many people come to your house every year outside of your immediate family?
Only one person comes. It's the mailman. Oh gosh, it's the mailman. He brings meal.
In most people's homes, 50 people come. Of that 50 people, half will like it, half won't. Just for ease of dynamics, right? That 25 people that like it will say, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Where'd you get it? That's a work from Depiction Paintings. And you just advertised to 25 people, gave exposure to Depiction Paintings. So to answer the question, art is a great way, not art, well, arts. The arts are a great way of people to find an income. It's just that, of course, they have to be of a certain standard because, I mean...
Marketable.
Yeah, it must be marketable.
Yeah.
And then you must find a way to not only follow your dream, but to get the exposure. And that's what events like the Street Art Fest do. They give you that exposure. Yes?
Just by walking down Albert Street.
Yeah, and part of the job of NICH is to promote, support, and showcase art on a whole. So this is an excellent avenue to do that.
So we got to get Kelvin into this conversation with depiction painting. So this is an amalgamation of artists?
No, it's just me as an artist at this time. But of course, the hope is there to maybe get some more artists on board, at least up to that level, so that we could actually mass produce after this. But for right now, it's just me running the depiction painting.
Mass produce, that can't be the word you mean.
So, Kelvin.
I mean, we do prints
on a larger
scale, right? A serious scale that people would not take what we have to offer lightly. We want them to really take it seriously. I mean, and we try to make that show in the work, right?
Obvious. I mean, I am so captivated by the details. The details are, I mean, the camera won't be able to pick it up, but it's like the feathers, the wrinkles around the eyes of the parrot.
Hyper-realism.
Exactly.
But tell us a bit about, where are you based, first of all?
All right, so I actually live in Belmont, sorry, and but I grew up in Belize City.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was actually from Belize City until I moved to Belmont.
And why is this an opportunity for you? I mean, with work like this, do you need more exposure?
Well, actually, even though I'm painting since 2009, a couple months I'm just full-time in doing just painting. So I feel like there's a need to actually step up on the marketing side. Because I've been painting, but that exposure wasn't there.
You've been painting only from since, you mean you started commercially? There must be an adjective that you missed out. You didn't start painting in 2009.
No, I started to paint in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just got
the first couple of years
I was now?
And I'm here now.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
No, we're here.
Good God.
Yeah.
But what made you start?
Okay, well, since a child, I was able to draw and sketch. So the art was always a part of my life.
Okay.
Painting, well, it was a transition from what I know to what I'm doing now. But I wanted to impact the world even. Well, I'll start impact from Belize, the nation. I wanted to make a statement for myself, and I believe I want to make a mark. And the day-to-day job, yes, it's an income, but it's not a love. It's not a passion that I have. And then you could see the art actually has the passion to do that. So it's like a calling, and I was exposed to painting in Placencia. And when I see, it was very captivating the way those guys were performing in terms of visual arts. And I said, you know what, man, it clicked. It's there. I got to try this. And I invest one of my salary into loan art supplies and so forth. And I went with the most quality work, because I said, you know what, I want to start with quality. I don't want to try and figure out my way.
Nice.
YouTube, a couple hundred hours on YouTube, and here I am. Yeah.
And you still have a full-time job besides art, or you're just only doing?
I actually gave up my full-time job last June.
Which was?
I was an accountant at a previous job place. And the calling was there. I got to admit, I started to realize that, you know what, if I have to stay on the maybe bread and cheese, I'll do that. But I want to paint. I want to express myself to the world. I don't want to have a limitation. I don't want a reputation to fulfill except my own. And I feel like there's a freedom in what I'm doing.
And he's been at the Street Art Festival for
at least 7 years. So
is this
I've been
part of a series, the Macaws, or you're naturally inclined to nature?
I do a lot of wildlife. Right now, I usually paint in series, so I would stick on some birds. When I feel like there's enough birds, then I would go on to a jaguar or a different type of animal, like maybe a marine life or so forth. But majority of my work sell in the tourist industry, and the tourist industry, for some reason, it seems like they are fascinated by wildlife, especially on the tours and so forth. So you try to focus your art around what will actually sell, because again, you need to generate that income. So primarily that is why you see I have a lot of wildlife. But now that I am on my own, I actually have a lot more things that I want to accomplish, like maybe paint scenes from Belize City or nature, the full scene, not just wildlife per se.
How many hours? I'm sitting inches away from this one, and the detailing. I mean, even the discipline. You look at just at your brush strokes, it almost looks like a photograph. Because even
the depth of field.
Yeah, and the lines are so sharp and so parallel. It's almost like you use a ruler. How many hours does it take? Because people are just seeing this and they say, "Man, wow." But they don't know the work that you put in.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really tell people about the work because they just see the top beauty of it. But a work like the Macau over that side took me at least 2 weeks working on an average, maybe 10 hours per day. Yeah, so we are talking about almost 100 hours.
You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it. Wow.
And something like that, what would you sell it for?
Depending on who's the buyer, right?
Right. In the tourism industry, I can price my work at a certain value, and then of course when we come locally, we have to be flexible, right? Yeah. But if I were to get what I want from that painting, I would love to get 2,500 Belize, right? But of course, I'm open to negotiation, and I mean, we try and meet somewhere in between.
Come on, people can't see this thing. This is worth far more.
But thanks to God, that one has been sold. So it just goes to show that the
This
people
one
that
too, right?
values the work.
Your salesman
That one
sold
is
this
sold.
one during the commercial break.
Wow.
Which is something that we try to tell people when it comes to Street Art Festival. The festival starts at 2 o'clock proper. If you are in the mood, if you think that this is beautiful and you would like to be able to come up to it and see it close, don't wait until 2 o'clock to come and say, oh my gosh, that's pretty. I'll come right back and I'll buy it from you.
Gone.
Because when you come back, it'll have a little sticker on it that says sold.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to ask you, Kelvin, because I think there's sometimes a misconception that people think it's only tourists that are buying art. How much have you seen an interest from Belizean buyers?
Over the past recent years, maybe 2 or 3 years, I have, well, let me go back a little bit. When I first started out, about 90% of my work were sold to tourists. They heard that it's good, but the thing is I cannot go back to visit those work. So whenever a local buy my work, I'm the happiest person, right?
Yeah.
Because I can always go back and see it one more time at least. As now, for right now, it's now about 50-50. So the more exposure that I get, I mean, like Mrs. Vernon said, we actually, I'm going to the show for 7 years plus, because I'm going this year as well. And every time I go out, a couple locals buy right here. And Placencia Sidewalk Art Fest used to be my biggest income earner. And now Street Art Fest is actually rivaling that.
Wow.
So it just shows the exposure work, the marketing
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
Street
And-
Art Fest work.
And you've even moved to
Yes, so
printing on
merchandise.
coffee mugs. Yeah.
In Placencia, there was a tourist that bought some of my work, and she wanted rights to print them on a mug. And she was offering to do the printing on the mug for me at every one that she sold. So if she sell one, I get one mug printed, or the income from it. And I look at it and I say, man, this thing has a niche, you know. I probably will print my own mugs. So like, thank
Your
you for that.
accounting background has been a very good asset.
So all of the mugs that I have over 30 samples of different paintings that I actually print on the mug.
Yeah.
So there's a variety that you will see at the art show that you can pick up.
And why I love it is because it makes it accessible for
everybody.
everyone
Yeah.
to have
Exactly,
your
right.
art.
There are smaller ones, bigger
Yeah.
ones, the mugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of the featured artists. Who else is going to be there, and what else can we expect?
Well, Alex is going to be there.
Alexander,
Alexander.
yes.
Yes.
He's always there.
Yeah.
We have jewelry, as Neil mentioned. There's a fashion street.
Yes.
And
The
we
return
can-
of Fashion Street.
Yeah, there will actually be a runway.
Oh.
And
Proper Fashion Street.
Yeah, booths set up with jewelry designers. So that section will just be fashion.
We have Lula Bennett, who's one of the best.
Lula will definitely be there.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
So who else is gonna? We're gonna hear some of this rundown.
Yeah. You mean artists on
Yeah.
Albert Street? There's so many. My goodness. Booths are sold out.
Wow.
Yeah.
See.
Sculptures, jewelry, artists, lots of arts and craft. You mentioned there's a sidewalk chalk competition. There's the kids zone, the food court, the youth stage, and we have
is the youth stage?
the live mural. The youth stage is down by Dean Street.
And it's where we have a stage specifically set up for younger entertainers. So you would have your 13 to 18-year-olds performing and getting their exposure on that stage, so they can
You guys ahead of the game, man.
Yeah.
really try.
And featured
Yeah.
And
in
that's
this
actually
section,
one of the more crowded areas at the
Exactly.
Street Art
Yes.
Festival all the time.
and featured in that section this year, they'll actually set up a recording studio.
Wow.
Wow.
So that they can do a walkthrough, a kind of petting zoo type thing for the young people to see how production is done.
Because a part of
Creativity.
exposure is not just getting the artist exposed to the public, but getting the process exposed to the artist so that they're not afraid of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that they can then know, okay, so if I want to do this, I need to go through these steps. And that's also important.
We have 2 Mexican artists here, and they will be doing, along with some students, a live mural on Prince corner Prince and Albert Street. So that will unveil before your eyes.
And that's with the help of the Mexican Institute.
Yes.
So we need to say thank you to them for that
One
as
of my
well.
favorite features is the sidewalk chalk competition.
Oh,
it just
yeah.
and I don't know if you as an artist though, an established
Of
artist.
course.
You were a
could
judge last
appreciate
year,
it.
right?
Yeah, I was judge last year.
Yeah.
What is the interest like, and
This year it's ICJ themed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your appointment
Yeah.
with history.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So, have you booked all the artists for the competition, or is it sign up when you get there?
People have signed up. I think majority of spaces are already gone.
Okay.
But they always leave 1 or 2 spaces available because they know that on the day, people
Somebody
turn
will
up.
show up
Yeah.
and want,
I've seen some of the most amazing stuff come out at that, and they have to do it. So
Live.
we
It's
know
live.
because we've been there, but to somebody who's never been there, explain how the sidewalk chalk competition.
Okay,
works.
there is a 11 o'clock time where the artists are allowed to outline their work, and you can do that, at your own leisure. but the actual competition starts at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So, then you do your filler, you fill
Use
in
chalk
and
to
you
actually
finish.
make a piece
Just
of art
chalk, yes.
out of art on the
And
ground.
On the
Yes.
ground. That's the little area between Belize Bank and the park.
Yeah.
And there were judges, and there are 3 different segments: the youth, the adult, and older youth. So, it's,
And I mean, they've come up with some pretty amazing
oh
stuff.
yeah,
Yes, they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
it's
Yes,
just
they
sad
have.
to see it.
I was gonna say the saddest
away,
part
right?
is that it's chalk.
That's
so
the
Exactly.
beauty of it.
impermanent.
Yeah, and the same thing with the sawdust tapestry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the alfombras.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's also there this year, Albert Street.
Food.
The food court is
Man
in,
after
in the
my
park.
own heart.
Yes.
So allow me, please.
Go ahead.
The food court will be okay. So we block. Oh, very important. We will be blocking off Albert Street. We block it off at 6 a.m. Please do not park your vehicles on Albert Street at 5:45. It will be towed. I have to say this every year. Now, from Albert Street, where it joins Orange Street, we have our main stage. Coming down to Brody's, and in that section in the park, we have our main food court. We'll also, of course, have, as we did last year and the year before, instrumental and other music being performed there live. We'll have various different stalls. I believe Miss Deb has agreed for this
Yes.
year as
The
well.
food show.
Yes,
truck
Miss
is
Deb
there.
not play,
Good.
but she'll be there, as well as the stalls that are already permanently a part of the park, and others will be there selling their wares as well.
There are
So-
22 food booths
Yeah.
along with Miss Deb. So,
And
I mean,
there-
you
So
have
lots-
a variety of
Lots to sample. Lots to sample. Come with your appetite.
pastries, local food, barbecue.
I'm out the water. I can't even talk. I'm out the water.
You had me at Miss Deb's.
Yeah.
Okay, move on from the
Sorry.
Yes, yes.
As we move from there, we usually have the artists set up in that section right in front of Brody's, and then moving on to Dean.
Yeah, all the way down to just before the youth stage.
But in front of Scotiabank, we'll have the Fashion Street.
Okay.
So we'll actually, like Miss Karen said, we'll actually have a
Runway.
runway. In the middle of the street. We'll have our fashion models coming up, walking down the runway and back. You actually get 3 different fashion shows starting at, was it 3 o'clock?
3
3, 4,
and
and 5, roughly around those times. I think it's like 3, 4, and 4:45 or something like that. I think we even have a fashionista, I like to call it, because she's a very young fashion designer.
yes,
Is it 6 or 7 years old?
6 years.
6 years
Wow.
old,
Yeah.
and
Alright.
she'll be showing off 6 of her works.
What?
Yes.
All right.
Is she from? Where is she from?
Belize
Ah,
Belize City.
come and find out.
6
We need everybody at home to come and find out.
Yes.
Albert Street. And it's on
Kids
Saturday
Light up
as well.
Saturday.
We've got the Kids Zone,
Yeah.
which is usually in the section just beside Scotiabank and, the building that is,
The
Arsenal.
ever popular kite boot.
yes,
Okay.
Belize City.
Okay.
face painting kite boot. A lot of fun because we will be. It's catering to kids. We then have further down, of course, the sawdust tapestry, and at the very end we have the youth stage that stops right on Dean Street. Between there and the tapestry, we'll have the music of the Panorifics, Pandemonium, which is always a winner.
And the Jankuda dancers.
Well, they take the
Stilt
street.
walkers from
Yeah.
Arenal.
Yeah.
The Living Statue Challenge.
Yes,
and of
not
course
the living
main
statue,
stage.
but the living statue challenge.
We have the main stage that starts at 6 and goes until 10.
Yeah.
With-
And the headliner for that section is the X Band.
Yes.
You know who I'm calling out? There's a category of artists that I'm calling out to join probably next year. We have an explosion of photographers in this country. The days when we had, the iconic Tony Ross, but we also have the upcomers. We also have the iconic Richard Holder. But I went to Edna Manley School of Art in Jamaica when I visited there recently, and the department for photography was wonderful. And maybe these persons, because they probably don't see themselves as artists anymore, because they're as yet. because we're coming from the culture where we saw photographers at graduations. That's
Yeah.
where we would see them.
Well, we had
So
Noel
it's
Escalante
still
for
on the
years.
Yeah, you did.
One of the
Yes, Mr. Escalante.
But let's-
Several years.
I would love to see them come out and have their
That
own
would be-
section.
that's a good idea.
Gorgeous.
One of the challenges that is, I actually spoke to a photographer just yesterday, and he said one of the challenges now is that everybody has a very good camera in their hands,
Yeah.
and they don't print them anymore. So it's becoming a quickly forgotten art form. I mean, aside from the family photo, where yes, John, get everybody ready, and then you sit down and you take that one picture, and then
Everybody
after that you
takes the
print that.
picture.
But they are finding it more difficult for them to have it as an art form. So yes, the Belizean calendar is great, but aside from that, what else do we use photography for? You know what I mean?
Everything. Flyers.
Yeah,
It's not being printed, but it's still being used.
it's
'cause
being used,
Electronically.
just not.
And we
because-
could display it electronically.
And
So- so for
that's
commercial
what I think it
purposes,
is,
it's
yeah.
good,
It's
but-
the printed photo, I
Yes.
think,
Yeah.
that isn't as...
Yeah.
For commercial purposes, it's great, and they were saying that they feel forgotten because
So
it's
this is
not
the
being
perfect
for
place.
Exactly.
It would be a great place for them to
Yeah.
To showcase.
reinvent
Calling them out.
themselves.
Yes.
Come out, guys.
Good call. Very good call.
Okay.
You know, sorry, just to cut in a little bit, that a lot of my work is actually used from photo references. So normally I would seek high definition or high resolution images to paint
Have to
my
be.
work. and I actually did the sailboat scene that I did
Yeah,
a
that
couple
was
years
beautiful.
back.
That was from a photo.
That was actually from Will Moreno. So
Yes.
I get some permission from him to actually do it because I'm captivated first by a photograph and then I try to depict it through my paintings, right? So photograph is very important, at least to the person that thinks it's being faded out. No, it's not. It's a foundation actually.
I don't
There
think
you
I'd ever
go.
say it's fading out. There are photographers popping up online every day who
Good
are
ones too.
entering into the industry. I think moving to printed is probably
That's
where
where the
the
challenge
challenge
is.
is.
The
Because even
printing,
the
yeah.
frames, you don't use printed frames anymore. You use
Yeah.
electronic.
Yeah.
See,
But I think that one of the things that we do have to say is that this is such a great opportunity to see artists from all over the country. This is not
Oh,
just
yes.
a Belize
Oh,
City
yes.
event.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
From the Pok-ta-pok that you're bringing in from the north, you'll have artists from all over the country.
All over the country.
Yeah, because we also have, Miss Karen mentioned the X-Band.
Yeah.
We've got Stig the artist and Ernestine
Yeah.
performing on
So
stage
there's,
as
National
well.
there's
Youth
something
Orchestra.
for
And the
everyone.
National Youth Orchestra.
Yeah.
And Los Hijos del West, Mario.
Actually,
Oh, unfortunately,
won't-
they won't be with us
Yeah,
this year.
they
Oh.
can't make it
Just
this year.
Going to
gosh.
say.
Oh.
But there's lots of entertainment nonetheless. What time does it officially start?
2 o'clock is official start. If you're coming out because you want to see art, if you're coming out because you want to have food, if you're coming out, do yourself a favor and come as early as possible.
Yeah, people set up early.
If your stall isn't finished setting up, visit the food court. Take 15 minutes, come back to your stall, because honestly, and you guys saw it happen. This was set up on the easel, and
It's
one of
sold
your
during the
guests
commercial break.
Yeah.
bought it during the commercial break.
Right there.
wow.
So don't
Very
waste time.
inspiring, very encouraging.
So the theme of the festival is confidant. So
There you go.
Write that down.
Come party with us.
Yes, but it's really come party with us, with the emphasis being the art in party.
Oh.
So we look forward to people coming out and just having a
work.
wonderful art party with us.
All right. Takes place this Saturday, downtown Belize City, starting at 2. And you can get just about everything artistic you can think about.
That's right.
Exactly.
Thank you for coming in and best of luck.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to go ahead and take our final break and we'll have our wrap up in a few. Stay tuned.